Hello. All right. So we are comparing fractions, and we have been doing that all along. But today we are just going to talk about different strategies we can use. You already have been using your own strategies at home, but today I'm going to introduce you to some new ones. Now, as usual, whenever I introduce you to a strategy, do you have to use it? No. When it comes to the test, you're going to solve the problem the way you want to solve the problem. I am just giving you information on how to do it in a little different way. So today, I want you to pay attention and figure out this strategy with me. But when it comes to test time or mid-chapter checkpoint time, you don't have to use this strategy if you don't. Okay? So today, we're comparing fractions, and our essential question is, what strategies can you use to compare fractions? All right, so let's go ahead and just start on our word problem. Luca and Anne are eating the same size small pizzas. One plate has 3/4 of Luca's cheese pizza. Another plate has 5/6 of Anne's mushroom pizza. Whose plate has more pizza? So we already know that we are comparing these two fractions, right? 3/4 and 5/6. So some of the strategies that we use already is that we use our fraction strips and we grab them and we compare them, okay? Another strategy we use is that we draw a picture and count or look at the whole pieces and see which one has more filled in on their circle. Today I'm going to teach you the missing piece strategy. It's where we draw a picture. If you see down here, we got a picture. And you still fill it in, but instead of looking at the parts that are shaded in, you're looking at the pieces that are missing. Okay? So, let's read it again. Luca and Anne are eating the same size small pizza. One plate has 3/4 of Luca's cheese pizza. Another plate has 5/6 of Anne's mushroom pizza. Whose plate has more pizza? So we're going to go ahead and we're going to fill in our diagram. There's 1/4. There's 2/4. There's 3/4. Notice how I'm staying in the line. I don't want to scribble over here because I might confuse myself, right? I want to make sure that I can tell where the fraction begins and where the fraction ends. Right? We got that. Right? And with Anna, it was 5/6. So here's 1/6, here's 2/6, 3/6, 4/6, and 5/6. Now you might be wondering, Ms. Lawrence, why did you do those weird lines there? Because today, instead of looking at the pieces we already filled in, we're looking at the pieces that are missing. So on this, Luca's pizza is missing 1/4. Anne's pizza is missing 1/6. When you look at them, they're almost the same size, but not quite, right? One of them looks like it might be a little bit bigger than the other. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my fraction pieces so I can see which one is bigger than the other. So I have 1/4. And I also have, nope, that's 1/10. 1/6. Okay, so I have my 1/6 and my 1/4, and this is how much is gone, right? This is how much they already ate. So if I just look at these, who's eaten more of the pizza already? Yeah, Luca has eaten more of his pizza because a 1/4 piece is bigger. Luca has eaten more of his pizza, but it's asking us not who has eaten more of their pizza, but whose plate has more pizza left. So since Luca ate the bigger piece, he has less pizza left. Anne ate a small piece, so she has more pizza left. Okay, so we know that Anne has more pizza left than Luca. Okay, So if you look down here, they're going step by step. Shade 3/4 of Luca's pizza and 5/6 of Anna's pizza. We already did that. Each fraction represents a whole that is missing one piece. Since 1/6 is smaller than 1/4, a smaller piece is missing from Anne's pizza. If the smaller piece is missing from Anne's pizza, she must have more pizza. So Anne's plate has more pizza. Okay? Okay, so we are going to move on to the next piece, which is at the bottom of your page. And for this one, I'm probably going to draw a picture, but you can use your fraction strips if you want. Okay, so Morgan ran 2/3 of a mile, and Alexa ran 1/3 of a mile. Who ran further? So I want to know who ran farther. Okay, and our important information is 2/3 and 1/3. So the first thing I'm going to do is draw a picture. All right, so I cut both of them into thirds because our denominator on both of these is a 3. So that means the whole has been split into 3 parts. And I'm going to go ahead and write the fractions next to them so I don't get confused on what I'm doing. All right, so it says Morgan ran 2/3 of a mile and Alexa ran 1/3 of a mile. Okay. And it wants to know who ran further. Now, I am going to do this. I'm just going to look at the number of pieces because the denominators are what, guys? The same. So we know that all of the pieces are going to be the same size. They're all going to be this size. So to figure out who ran further, we just have to figure out who has more pieces. Okay? So when we're looking at this, who has more pieces? Yeah, Morgan has more pieces. So we know that 2/3 is bigger than 1/3. So Morgan ran further. So our first strategy today was look at the empty spots in our drawings and the pieces that are missing. Our second strategy is to count the pieces if they have the same denominator. This does not work if it has the same numerator because the pieces will be different. Right, and let's go ahead and go to the next page. And it's another word problem. Let's go ahead and read it. Ms. Davis is making a fruit salad with 3/4 of a pound of cherries and 3/8 of a pound of strawberries. Which weighs less, the cherries or the strawberries? Now this one is trying to trick you. You might not know it, but I know it. Because it wants to know which weighs less. Now all the other problems we've been doing from here, from before now, have been which is more. But right now, I want to know which is less, okay? So we know that cherries is 3/4 of a pound, and the strawberries is 3/8 of a pound, okay? When the numerators are the same, we're going to look at the denominators this time to try and figure out which one is less, okay? So our numerators are both 3. So we have 3 pieces, but the pieces are not the same size, right? Do you remember my rule with the denominator? The bigger the denominator, the smaller the pieces, right? So which one has a bigger denominator? 8 is bigger. So we know that 8ths are going to be smaller than 4ths. So I want you to go ahead and grab those fraction strips and grab an 1/8 and grab a 4th. You can physically see the difference. So if I have 3 of these and I have 3 of these, which one's going to be less stuff? The 8ths is going to be less because it's littler. So there's going to be less 8ths in your whole than 4ths, okay? And you can draw a picture for this as well if you don't want to use your fraction strips. So I'll draw a picture. All right, so 3/4 looks like this, and 3/8 looks like this. When we draw a picture, it is very obvious which one is less. So we know that the 3/8 is less, okay? So 3/8 is less. You see how it's the less than? 3/4. So the blank way less. Which one is the 3/8, guys? The strawberry. You got this. You got this. But you do have to slow down when you're reading to make sure you don't miss this when it says less or more. Okay? All right. Let's go ahead and look at number 1, just because this concept's a little bit like more difficult and like harder to wrap your brain around. So what we're doing is we are looking at the missing pieces, and they were nice enough to already draw the fractions for us. This one is 7/8, and this one is 5/6. Okay, and they didn't draw that missing piece. Okay, so we need to figure out which one is bigger. So you can look at the pieces, but they're almost the same size, aren't they? So I'm going to go ahead and pull out my fraction strip pieces because that helps me a little bit better because these are good size. So when we're looking at our fraction strip pieces, we have 1/8 and 1/6. Which one is bigger? Right, 1/6 is bigger because the denominator is bigger. So 1/6, this missing piece right here is bigger than this missing piece. Now, because this missing piece is bigger, the rest of the fraction is going to be smaller or bigger. Smaller. Think about it. When you eat pizza, if you take a bigger slice, you have less left over. If you take a small slice, you have more left over for later. So in this method, we can figure out which fraction is bigger by which one has the smaller piece that's been taken out. So 1/8, this piece is smaller. So the rest that's left over is gonna be more. Okay. And I know this is kind of a tricky concept. And like I said, you can use this or you cannot use this. I just need you to try and figure it out right now. And then you're going to do 2, 3, 4, and 5 on your own. Draw a picture, use fraction strips, do whatever you want to do. Okay? And you got this. Of course, you can always contact me if you have any questions. Okay?